Godspeed. Originally a Middle English term, Godspeed was used to convey desire for someone to have a prosperous journey. Today, it's used more as a casual way of saying, have a safe trip. Google says it's not a religious term, but I'd like to use it as a faith word for today. Often I feel like the disciples rowing in a boat at night, like traveling, straining in a fog without knowing where God is exactly, but heading somewhere specific and even familiar. For any number of reasons, though, it's just hard. On this occasion, the disciples were heading for Capernaum, the fishing town where Peter lived and where Jesus lived for a time and taught in the synagogue and healed many people. It was a very familiar place. The disciples had just fed the 5,000 with Jesus, who then went to a mountain by himself. They were trying to cross the Sea of Galilee, and it was dark, and Jesus had not yet joined them. A strong wind was blowing and the waters grew rough. They had traveled this way for about 3 or 4 miles when Jesus decided to catch up to them by foot, on water. Now, I personally think God has a sense of humor in this look what I can do moment that frightens his friends so much that they wouldn't allow him to get on the boat. He had to identify himself by saying, "It is I," and adding, "Don't be afraid." John's Gospel says, "Then they were willing to take him into the boat, and immediately the boat reached the shore where they were heading." Godspeed. That's what we need. God's vision, God's way, God's power. We need the Lord in his everyday majesty to join us in our everyday work of rowing. And when it gets hard, we need him to propel us to our destination so that we make up for lost time and other lost things. Can't he do it? The one who fed thousands from a meal enough for a few? By walking on water, Jesus demonstrated his lordship over creation. That as John begins his gospel, in the beginning, through him all things were made. Without him, nothing was made that has been made. So think about that struggle, task, project, sin, you name it, that has been keeping you back or has been a lot more difficult than you anticipated. Then invite the fearful and compassionate Creator and Master of all things to get in the boat with you, not just for safety and prosperity, but as I'm learning, for us to understand his heart, for us to experience his presence, and for us to bring him glory when we testify of his goodness. Amen.